Can I just share some logic with you guys? As I'm taking Pablo out, he's looking at these, I don't know, what those geese or whatnot. He's like saying, I want us to look at them. I want those geese. You see him? Give me those geese. Look at him. How awesome is that? He's like, let me get those geese. All right, so logically speaking, you ready? What is the biggest expense you have in retirement? The biggest expense is housing. Yes, if you've been watching this channel at all, you know that is the biggest expense. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. Healthcare doesn't come close. We hear all the time, well, healthcare is the biggest increasing expense. Yeah, because housing costs go down from a significant amount, and healthcare comes up a little bit from a low amount to begin with. Thus, increasing as a percentage-wise, it is the biggest cost. From an increasing as a percentage, but in terms of real dollars, it's not even close. All right, so logically speaking, if housing is the biggest cost by far, all right, and we have two types of housing occupants. One are homeowners and one are renters or mortgagees, all right? A homeowner has no mortgage. A rentor or mortgagee does. If the median household cost for those over the age of 60 years old, for those with a mortgage, is $18,000 a year. That's the median, all right? The median household cost for those without a mortgage, the same age group, is less than $500 a month. So it's less than $6,000 a year. All right, so that's the median. That's more than $12,000 a year that a homeowner without a mortgage saves than a person who has a mortgage or a renter on an annual basis. So logically speaking, if housing is my biggest cost and having a mortgage means I have a cost 3 times more than someone who doesn't have a mortgage, what does that tell you about retirement planning? Pay off the flipping mortgage. I just is so logically sound to me that I'm stunned when I hear people argue against that. In fact, it's interesting because if you look at the HRS, the Health and Retirement Study, when you're looking at expenditures, they don't even consider the amount that you pay for principal on your mortgage as part of spending. They actually consider that as an investment because you're paying down debt and you're increasing your equity. You know, rightly or wrong, I'm not here to debate that, but that's how valid, in my opinion, the issue of paying down your mortgage is because A, you reduce your cash flow, and B, your cash outflow, you increase your equity. So win-win. But Josh, I'm only paying 3% of my mortgage. I can get 7% in the market. And I'd argue, are you even paying 3%? I don't even have to debate here the taxes. I don't have to debate you're getting 3% on your 5% on your money and you're only paying 3%. Because if you're on the back end side of your mortgage, you're really not even paying whatever your interest rate is because you've already paid all that. Right now, you're paying mostly into just principal. So it's essentially, you're not really paying that interest. So the interest isn't really costing you what you thought. I don't care because I'm talking cash flow. Cash flow is what determines retirement success. The more cash flow you don't need to have outgoing, the less money you need in which to pay that cash flow. The less money you need in which to pay the cash flow, the less taxes you have to pay because the less income you have coming in which that comes in to be taxed so you can pay cash flow. So I hear all the time like, well, I'm getting 7% a year in my mortgage investments. I'm only paying 3%. I should carry mortgage. And I just find that to be silly because 7% a year investments is you're looking at investment returns, and I'm looking at it from a cash flow perspective. Cash flow is what determines retirement planning. Cash flow. Investment returns versus, arbitrage. 3% to your mortgage, 7% you're getting back does not determine retirement planning. Cash flow determines retirement planning. How can you make a plan under assumptions relative to what you do know you can lay down in terms of mortgage? You know for a fact your mortgage is going to cost you $2,500 a month, of which $1,800 of that is principal and interest. You know that for a fact. Thus, you don't know if your investments are going to give you 7. You don't know if they're going to give you 20. You don't know if they're going to negative. You don't have any idea at all. So it's two completely separate arguments. One, your arbitrage, i.e. I'm paying 3, but I'm getting 7. That's called arbitrage. 2, cash flow. It's cost me $1,800 a month and wish to arbitrage that. All right, well, even if that were true, when do you turn on the spigot for that cash flow? Because the cash flow is steady. The investment returns are variable. No one would sit here today and say $100,000, you should pull $1,800 a month out because you're getting a successful arbitrage there. But what does retirement planning consist of? It consists solely of cash flow. So if cash flow is what determines successful retirement planning, which unequivocally it is, the biggest source of outgoing cash flow is your mortgage, which unequivocally it is the housing, which unequivocally it is. And the biggest source of outflow for housing cash flow is a mortgage, which again, unequivocally it is. Logically then, would not we be sitting there saying, to have a more successful retirement plan, reduce outflow cash, and the way to do that, the simplest, easiest way is what? To pay off your mortgage. Don't compare an apples to an orange. Don't say, hey, I'm getting 7% and I'm only paying 3. That is not the argument to be made. The argument to be made is cash flow. How are you going to generate that cash flow? That's all that matters. All right, we'll see you.